Welcome to the Sweaty Pillow podcast. I'm so excited about today's guest. We've been such a fan and in your ecosystem for a while now. It's Julie Gordon White, who is the CEO and founder of Menowell, but so much more. I'm going to read your bio because it will give us all chills. For sure, these are my words because you don't talk about yourself this way. You are an award-winning entrepreneur, business coach, best-selling author, TEDx speaker, founder of multiple businesses, senior C-level leadership roles in corporate America. Oh, and by the way, raised three kids, wrote a best-selling book, founder of Menowell, Menopause energy bars, and an Oprah Daily Best Menopause product. Let's just have a round of applause for the good work that you have done so far in your life, and there's more to come. Thank you for being with us today. We're
Thank
so
you.
excited to have you.
I'm so excited. And well, first of all, I didn't do all that at the exact same time, right? There's some, that's the advantage of midlife. I think if I had a resume, which I don't anymore as an entrepreneur, it'd probably be 5 pages because all of those things sort of in sequence, some of them on top of each other, that kind of thing. But thanks for, having me on, Laura. I'm so excited. And this sweaty pillow, we can talk about that for sure. So
Well,
good.
it's funny. I'm battling a bit of a cold right now, so that's why my nose is red and I don't sound perfectly clear, but I'm sweating down my back as I'm talking to you, and I'm like, I wish I was wearing Lucame and we had a sweaty pillow here that could absorb it because it's a metaphor, but it's also, it's a just good descriptor of what we go through day or
Right.
night, right?
It's why you do what you do, why your products are so important. And yes, you need a pillow or something back there. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. You look amazing
No.
for not feeling
Uh,
well. So
Thank you, thank you. So we're talking about menopause in the workplace, when menopause as entrepreneurs, getting into your story about how you founded your company and why. But can you take us through the journey of you in business, you in corporate America, and to the point of what compelled you to start your company?
yeah, I have to okay, tap back into that life. And so um, I, going back a tiny bit before that, I was that kid who was always interested in making my own money. I think it's because my parents said, you can have anything you want, but you have to pay for half of it because we know you'll take better care of it that way. I really want that yellow Huffy bike. How am I going to figure that out? So that kind of launched me into this idea that if I offered something that someone wanted, then they would pay for it and then I could get the thing that I wanted. So that was at 10. I wrote a business plan around all of that kind of
Come
thing.
on, of course you
I
did.
and no one in my family is an entrepreneur, but I went after college, went into corporate America, which I absolutely loved. I had a lovely career with Sheraton Hotels. Started, in the catering department, and then moved my way all the way to director of national sales for corporate. So
Wow.
that's where I spent my time. Traveled all over the world. The hotel industry is fantastic, super fun. There's no lock on the front door, which means you're always working. And at some point in there, I got married and had my first kid. And, I didn't want to leave Scott all the time. So
Mm,
it was when he was 2, I decided that's when it was time to go back to sort of my entrepreneurial, just, inspiration or vent and see what was out there for me, because I had the silly idea that, I wouldn't work as much if I was an entrepreneur. Yeah, we know that's
what?
not true, Laura, right?
Yeah, surprise.
um
Yeah,
Not, yeah, surprise. I kind of evolved into, I work around the clock, but at least I own the clock, so that made it
love that.
better. But so I actually tried to buy a business, and so I made an offer on a business. I had assembled a team, lawyers, accountants, all the right people, bankers that I needed, but I didn't get the deal, which, I
Mm.
know now, being in my, it being 58, that all these things happen for us, not against us, for us. And so, because I really wasn't meant to have that business, but I learned that I love doing the deal. So I ended up working for that company that was handling the transaction. And I worked for them for a year, and then I went out on my own. And funny story, Laura, I started selling flower shops. So I started a business brokerage. That's what we call it here in the US when it's a small, like Main Street business. And so I always knew the power of specialization. So look at you, what
Mm.
you and I are doing. You know, we're focused on a certain group of people and women, women in the stages of menopause, but there's so much power in a niche. And is that what you say in Canada? Do you say niche or
Yes,
niche?
yes, we love that word. That's
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Okay, good, good. Um, and I think people, especially entrepreneurs, think that they're missing out on something. They need to have something for the whole entire world. Well, I don't really subscribe to that. So I decided I was just going to start selling florists because I actually worked in an office where they were all men except for me. And they thought that was the girl business. So here, Julie, you go sell these florists. I know, right? Rude, but
Totally rude.
super rude. However, it turned me into a specialist. I handled
Mm.
all the florists, the most well-known florists in San Francisco. Really an important transaction that had been in the family 100 years, and that just launched me into my own thing. So I just took all that with me and started my own company. Deal size grew over time, and I was selling multi-million dollar businesses. So I had a multi-million dollar mergers and acquisitions firm that little flower shop broker grew into. Um,
Wow.
yeah. So then, I realized, I don't know if this is true for you. I think a lot of women, we have these journeys in life. And I look back and I realize I have sort of this 10-year cycle in business. And I start getting a little bit itchy and ready to do something else. I've kept my
Mm.
husband for 32 years and my 3 kids. So,
Yay.
fortunately, they've made it through that 10-year cycle. My husband's like,
They're
ah,
special.
right. My parents do. And my friends. Not all your friends. That's a whole nother conversation, right?
Yeah.
But so at the actually 2009, a big recession hit and businesses weren't really valuable. So that's when I wrote my book. I really wanted to make concrete all the things I had learned so I could teach it forward. So my kids would know mom knew something. I had 3 kids, 2 more kids along the way. And then I started coaching women entrepreneurs for 10 years on how to grow multi-million dollar service companies that are
Mm.
sellable. I just thought it was very important that women understand that when you start a business, you really want to think whether you want to sell it or not, you need to build it as if it's sellable. You never know if you're going to get an offer. You never know if your family member wants to buy it. And plus, it just makes running a company a lot more enjoyable.
Mhm.
So that happened. Then COVID, Laura, right? Hello. Hello, pandemic.
Right.
Same thing around, still doing fine, great, but that 10-year itch, here it is. And I did the thing I told women never do. Don't start a product company. It's too hard. It requires too much capital. The profit margins are too small. But I was struggling. I don't know your experience in, perimenopause, but I had gained weight about 10 or
Yes.
probably a little over 10 pounds. I'm only 5'1", so there's no place for that to go.
Oh,
Super uncomfortable. I just
yeah.
didn't feel like myself. Um, Lack of confidence, night sweats, sweaty pillow times 100,
Hmm.
all this
Yeah.
hair on my head, the whole thing, not happy. And I just decided to do something about it and do the thing that I said not to do at 55, start a product company.
Well, it was born out of such a need though, because knowing you, you would have went into research mode. What's this all about? What can I do? And if there's such a void and it's a massive market, it would be the exact thing that a go-getter like you would go do. It's not, doesn't make sense to the average person, but a superpower woman should do it and could do it, and you've done it. So thank God you have.
Well, it takes one to know one, right? I always say, I see something, it bothers me, I research it, and my way to deal with it is I just start a business around it. So
Why not?
why
Why not? Well,
not?
you've seen enough patterns also in coaching women, being in the M&A side of corporate America. You know the patterns, you've seen them, and you would have done your research, which does speak to the size of the prize in the menopause market. It also speaks to the fact that there still isn't enough education, resources for women going through this. It's still a bit of a taboo topic.
Mhm.
And we collectively, that's why I love that Lisa connected with you guys a year and a half plus ago that we have to rally together and make some noise and
Yes.
tell women that there's relief for what you're going through. Because didn't it feel when you first started experiencing symptoms a bit like, well, that's off. Like, do I have a virus? Wait, it seems to be going on a long time. Wait, now I can't finish my sentences. I had a very clear thought 4 seconds ago and it just blanks.
God.
It's this w like tsunami wave of things that come over you. Um, but tell us about, your experience. You're feeling these symptoms. Oh, by the way, you're going to start a company. How did you feel and how did you attack that as an entrepreneur dealing with it's a mini form of a health crisis?
Yeah. So I was in the middle of my second company at 46 when I really started to notice that I was making a lot of errors when I was
Mm,
writing emails. I couldn't, like, the thoughts were not sticking, so many typos. I'd read something 4 times and it still didn't stick. And I would send it and I would read it again and there was still a typo. Like, it was just at this. And
mm,
that's when my night sweat started happening, when I was waking up completely drenched. So it was the combination of this very intense brain fog and not, basically sleepless nights because I'm up 5 times, that I was like,
hmm
what is wrong with me? I really didn't have any idea at the time. And I was concerned, like many young women in perimenopause, am I having early onset dementia or Alzheimer's,
Yeah,
things like that? Because my mom had this is the TMI part of the conversation, because all
I love it.
conversations in menopause go to TMI, right? But not really. I don't feel like anything is TMI anymore. But my mom had a hysterectomy, so she didn't really talk about
Mm,
menopause. And then when I asked her, she said, well, I didn't, I what she said was she had fibroids, so she didn't take any estrogen replacement, no hormone therapy. She's of that generation where
mm,
you don't get hormones. Bad things happen if you do hormone therapy. So she just told me that was not an option for me.
mm,
So eat better, exercise more, and you'll
yeah,
get through it. That was it. Well, that
mm.
didn't sit well with me. So I started polling my girlfriends. How about you? Was that your experience?
Same. It's like, what the hell is going on? And I've got a nice blend of girlfriends and colleagues in business, and
Yeah,
it all collided around the same on
right.
very important aspects of our life between our relationship with our romantic partner, our short fuses with our kids,
Mm,
the lack of sleep the night before a board meeting. Like, I
right.
cannot go through this board meeting exhausted, can't form a sentence, and sweat dripping down my back. Like,
Right.
how it impacts us in business as entrepreneurs, as C-level in business
Right.
is definitely not at the forefront of conversations. Because imagine putting your hand up. You're a senior VP. You're about to be promoted to COO. Oh, I'm in the throes of menopause. I'm not sleeping. I need health resources. There are none. Our benefits don't cover it. Like,
Right.
it needs to be addressed in corporate and in business, and it's not,
Yeah.
my
It's
opinion.
it isn't. I mean, the UK is way ahead of us. They do
Mm,
have benefits for menopause. And there are some companies in the US who are starting to dabble around the edges of benefits. But all of the women who are customers, friends, who I get to, like you, I get to speak to women every day about their menopause experience and talking about it, how it's really made them fearful of trying to go for the next promotion, because for the exact things we're talking about, they're doing a presentation in front of the board or a whole committee of folks, and all of a sudden they've lost the word. It's gone.
yeah,
You
yeah.
you got the deck, you got the slides up, word is gone. And then here comes hot flashes. So you're looking great in your power jacket, and we're jeans
hmm
now. We don't really wear power suits anymore, right? But like
Yeah,
the nice outfit, and and then you've got beads of sweat on your face. How do you deal with
yeah.
that? So I just think I told women, you could just own it. Just say it. Oh, I'm having a power surge up here. Like, all the good things are happening. It's happening. This is what this is what midlife wisdom is about. This is what being in the stages of menopause, it's really, in my opinion, the most empowering time of our life if we believe it is, right? We can take it
Mm-hmm.
as like, this is debilitating. And let's be real, there are aspects of it that sometimes feel debilitating. You know, for some women, the symptoms over 34 are so intense that it is debilitating, but that's a whole spectrum. And so
Mm-hmm.
we do have the choice to try to believe that this is the best time of our lives. You know, we make the most money, we have the most experience, we have the most wisdom, so we can tap into our intuition. Our networks are huge. You know, and as I said about money, you know, in the next few years, we're gonna, in the US at least, maybe in Canada too, we're going to control 75% of discretionary earnings. That's economic power,
Nice.
right?
Amen.
Huge,
Yeah, I love that.
huge. So we don't
Yeah.
have to be shy. Even in corporate America, they need us. They need us
Mm-hmm.
because we step out of
Mm-hmm.
the workforce that costs millions and millions and millions of dollars. They need our labor, they need our experience. So we should not hide just because we're going through a natural life transition. Don't get me
I
started.
love that. That's like a great rallying cry, and I'm with you. We have this luxury of being business owners and the benefit of experience and confidence. What advice would you give to women in corporations, the 42-year-old lawyer who's worked her ass off, she's about to make partner? What
Yeah.
advice would you give women in business on how they should or could expose what they're dealing with to their superiors or human resources? What
Yeah.
advice?
Well, we have to take a couple of steps back, I think, before that. I feel so bad for you. Like I
No,
want to
I'm
give you,
good.
I want to give you some. This is what we do, right? We just soldier through the good and bad, right? There you go. So first, before we talk to our boss or whoever HR, because HR for the most part doesn't know. They don't know. Okay. They
Hmm.
have no idea how to deal with this. But we've got to make sure first we educate ourselves because most women don't understand their symptoms. They don't understand the options that are available to them. So they need to go to menopause.org and learn and
Mm,
educate themselves. So that's where all the latest research is about menopause, HRT. You can actually find a doctor. Now, I make sure I'm speaking to an international audience here. You know, at least in the US, but there are other options. So there are going to be doctors in Canada that are a part of National Association of
hmm.
Menopause Society. And that's what menopause.org is. So educate yourself first. Talk to your other friends around you and ask them, what maybe you have a mentor, ask her and get some of that insight information so you don't feel alone. I think a lot of women feel so alone in this journey,
Mm.
especially in corporate America. And, the crazy thing is we're all going through it. If we're lucky enough, we're all going to go through it. So chances are, if you have a mentor that's a little bit older, she has gone through it. If you know a woman who has gone through had a hysterectomy or even breast cancer, chances are, even in her 30s, she's gone through medically induced menopause, surgical menopause. So there could be someone in your circle that you have no idea who's actually menopausal, even if she's younger. So educate yourself. And then after you do that, you need to find a doctor that is really supportive of menopause. And chances are, and I know in Canada, it's a little bit different with the health system, right? So
Yeah.
your doctor may or may not know anything about menopause. In the US, general doctors get 1 hour menopause training in medical school, and gynecologists get 2 hours. Hello? Not enough, right?
Outrageous. Yeah.
Outrageous. So it's important that you find a medical advocate. That's what I'm going to say.
Hmm.
That sounds like the best. A medical
That's
advocate
good.
who can support you. And that might be out of your comfort zone to figure out who that is. But the person that delivered your babies, maybe if you had them, might not be
Hmm.
the person that can help
Hmm.
you in menopause. So you're going to educate yourself. You're going to find a medical advocate who can help you navigate, is hormone therapy good or not for you? And then you can go to HR and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we know women ages 45 to 60 are experiencing peri or menopausal symptoms, and we're not talking about it. Can we
Mm-hmm.
gather up a lunch and learn? Bring in a doctor, bring in another advocate. Doesn't have to be a huge, HR initiative, but can we bring together some people in a more informal environment to talk about this? Because I do think we need to be sensitive, because maybe the HR director, if she's a woman, she may not want to talk about it,
Yeah.
right? So you've got to
Yeah.
find those internal advocates. But I think doing all that homework in advance, so you know who you are in this journey before you go and say, oh, hey, HR, like I'm miserable. Or my boss, even
Mm.
same thing. If you're talking to your boss, you want to come from a place of confidence, I would say. And I think knowledge gives us confidence.
I love so much of what you've just said because you've given the roadmap for women at work to how to turn the notion of this being negative almost upside down because you're arming yourself with insights before you attack it on the work front. But something else I want to expand on what you said because I love it. In reaching out to your network of friends or colleagues, I think the idea of internally, depending on the size of your business, there's going to be other women. If there isn't a formal menopause policy, but there's a buddy in accounting and there's someone
Right.
in legal, there's going to be other women. Maybe there's, God willing, I hope there's a woman in the C-suite that you can just start privately, like, hey, I'm dealing with this, don't know what your experience is. Can we gather as like a mini little group to
Yeah.
share our experience and then take it collectively to the executive team
Yeah.
to lobby for resources?
I think it's sort of a grassroots approach. It's how we interact anyway. If you're having a
Mm-hmm.
baby, or you're doing something else, you ask your friends and you gather them up and get their feedback, their experience. And so it's that same kind of thing, but inside the workplace. And maybe since many people are remote, it's even safer because you can hop on
Mm,
Zoom and talk about it.
yeah.
Um, but I would also really tap the shoulders of C-suite women who might have already gone through menopause to
Mm-hmm.
be sensitive, because maybe in their journey they weren't able to talk about it. Just being really direct, maybe they had to just soldier on to achieve their level of success. So hopefully they're going to be willing, and I invite them to be courageous, to reach out and reach back to younger women, managers, directors that are coming up through the ranks, and say, hey, let me tell you about my experience. Because I think,
Mm-hmm.
as for me as 58, I see that as part of my journey, is to reach out to other women, younger women, and explain what I've gone through. When I was in corporate, that was just straight up PMS, having all those babies and all that stuff, right? That was a
Oh,
whole different thing. But as a menopausal entrepreneur, I speak to a lot of 40 something entrepreneurs about how the symptoms of menopause really, threw me for a loop in my companies. So I
mm-hmm.
think it's important, and it's our responsibility, those of us who are on the other side post menopausal, to talk and
Yes.
share back to help women so they can have a more empowered, positive journey.
Yeah, that's really hits home with me. I'm thinking about as we're brainstorming here, what can we do collectively as business owners and, anyone listening who is senior at a business or owns a business, is in HR at a business, simple things to offer support that just need to be so ingrained in the culture. For
Yeah.
me especially, I wasn't sleeping. So I wasn't sleeping, call it 1:30 to 4:30, and then I'd fall back asleep at 5 and I'd have my best sleep between 5 and 8. If I could just show up at the office at 9:30 without being given the hairy eyeball, because
Yes.
I was like, no, I'm just in a rough patch of sleep, and just that you never are made to feel guilty about that. I'm just, as we talk aloud about the dream scenario of what women should be able to enjoy in the workplace in resources and benefits, what else do you think that could look like? Like, what would the formula be for a company offering a dream list of of options for women going through menopause.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that. I mean, just you can come in. Well, I'm a results-based person anyway, so but in corporate America, it doesn't really always work that way. I know my 25-year-old daughter talks a lot about that. And I love that you said hairy eyeball. I used to say that. I haven't said that in a long time. I'm going to start saying that again. That's the best,
There you
the
go.
hairy eyeball. But I think gathering benefits to help women find doctors and then have them have those whatever medical resources and needs they have be paid for through their health
Mm-hmm.
benefits, because most
Mm-hmm.
women are paying out of pocket for health benefits.
Yeah.
In the US there are some we call it telemed. Do you have telemed in Canada?
Aversion, we do, yeah.
A version. So telemed companies that specialize in menopause, and some of them do take insurance, but some don't. And so there seems to be more out of pocket expense for
Mm-hmm.
women to manage, whether that's going to see doctors that are specialists or if they decide to do hormone therapy, some version of that. So having actual benefits that pay for it. Also, many women have anxiety. Um,
Mm.
Huge symptom of menopause, sometimes rage, anger. And so those can really show up in the workplace. And
Yeah.
so, really helping, I think, going back to why can't they be the source of education? Here
Mm-hmm.
are your resources. Here are the 34 symptoms. And even though now we think there's about 70.
What?
Right. Okay, here's one for you: burning mouth. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, no. Tell me about burning
You
mouth.
don't want to know. I have a dear, dear, dear bestie that really illuminated this for me. And then because I get to hang out with a lot of the menopause docs, sure. I mean, it's actually, I think it's been there all along, but nobody's really named it. It's a syndrome where the nerves in your mouth basically are overfiring. And so it feels like you're eating a jalapeno all the time.
No. No.
Unfortunately,
Like
yes.
if some of the symptoms aren't bad enough, now it's burning mouth.
I know. Frozen
Jeez.
shoulder, joint pain. I mean, there's so many things that we don't talk about. Now, you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to attribute every uncomfortable thing in your life to menopause, because if it's something serious, that needs to be dealt with
Mm-hmm.
in a different way. You know, if it's leading like heart disease, is here we are, heart disease, blood pressure goes up during menopause. Estrogen is so supportive of our bodies. And when our estrogen declines, that's when things happen. So
Mm-hmm.
if corporations could help educate women, they could be that resource. We don't even need to send them to menopause.org. They
Yes.
can be that resource. Here are some resources, booklets, websites, articles that can help you navigate through these symptoms. First of all, it
Mm-hmm.
just shows that they care, right?
Right.
That they're listening. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's just we tend to give so many resources to women and babies, as we should.
Yes. Yeah. It's true.
However, hello, this is just the other version. We're just finished reproducing. Okay. So don't forget us over here, and create a bank of information, help create some of these circles of conversation. I think that would go a long way. And then just being a little bit flexible when a woman says,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sleep. I think that's really huge all by itself.
Yeah, you're so right. The stat that we found when we were getting ready to talk to you, um, that menopause in the workplace in the US costs the economy $26 billion annually between the missed work and medical costs. And 99% of women don't get menopause health benefits at work. Isn't that a
Right.
crime?
It
So,
is.
from
It's
a
a
pure
crime.
economic perspective, let's pretend you're not the most empathetic, nurturing company in the history of the world. It's better for your bottom line to support women in menopause, isn't it?
That's right. It's good business.
It's
Good
good
business. It's
business.
profitable to help
Yeah,
women in perimenopause. Hello.
right. It's just an easy thing.
Yeah.
Tell us about your company, your
Mhm.
products, why they're so fabulous, why we need to have them in our pantry.
Why you're going to help me get them into Canada now?
Yeah. Well, that's just not acceptable. Women in Canada need your products. We're going to figure that
Ah,
out at a 2 o'clock
we're
meeting
gonna-
today.
okay, good, good,
Yeah.
good. I love it. I'm a member of Women's Presidents Organization. I don't know if you know WPO, but we
Yes.
met in Quebec. a few years ago, a big annual conference, and I knew we need to have Menowell bars in Canada, but it felt like a really Herculean task. But you and you're going to help me make it easy. So,
Here we are. Yeah.
yeah, I created them for myself and what I like to say, my pause pals, because women gain meno middle because of the decline of estrogen, because we tend to not be lifting weights. And so our muscles start to decrease, and then our metabolism goes down, and then we gain middle, which is that not good visceral fat, the kind that gets close to our organs, which is really dangerous. And let's be real, we're all afraid of breast cancer. However, it's heart disease, cardiac events that take women out, number one killer. So yes, we want to, look good in our jeans or whatever, but the truth is we need to keep our waist size. Oh, I should have converted this. I'm just going to say inches.
That's okay.
What's the conversion?
We like
inches.
Inches. Yeah. Okay, we like inches. I'm of that generation before centimeters.
Okay. I feel so unprepared. 35 inches or less is what is safe. We have an OBGYN on our team, specializes in menopause and estrogen hormones, and hormones. So Dr. Larissa, 35 inches or less is where we want our waist to be, because that helps us reduce our risk of heart disease. And I have hypertension in my family, so that was even more paramount to me. So I needed to have something that I like treats. I'm that person. I'm a sweet person. And so I wanted to have you do okay. Oh, especially when your hormones are going nuts. We just tend, it's like PMS all the time, right? Chocolate, peanut butter, chocolate.
Oh, so, my fave.
All the good things. And so I needed to have a better choice for myself, because I didn't want to eat cookies, what I now call the killer C's, cookies, candies, and chips. Don't want to have that. So what could I have? And so I started researching ingredients, and that's when I landed on having almonds as a base of something, because all of the healthy fats, all the fiber, we'll talk about fiber in a second. Maca, are you familiar with maca?
Yes. Yes.
It's a Peruvian root that's been around forever, and it is known to help balance blood sugar and hormones over time. It's a natural product. So it's not a pharmaceutical. You're not going to eat a bar and boop, like, oh, there went my menopause. But it helps balance our blood sugar, which goes so far in helping us with sugar cravings and just keeping us a little bit calmer over time. There are some articles about libido with maca, so we don't need to go down that route, but that's a whole nother symptom.
I like it.
Menopause, like libido, right? So any
dry vaginas. I can't go through a podcast without talking about dry vaginas.
There you go. You just went all the way there, right?
TMI.
Wait, it's part of the. Okay, I'm just going to share this with your audience because it's kind of funny, and since you brought up vaginas, not me.
Bring it.
Okay, so I handle all the customer service chat because I love to know what women say. I want to know, right? And this woman chatted with me. Can you feel where I'm going with this? She said, "Do your bars help with vaginal dryness?"
No, she did not.
That's how terrible we feel that this woman was like. I said, girlfriend, I wish they did, but I think the cacao nibs in that chocolate are not going to make it any better. She just laughed. So I pointed her to some estradiol and some other things that will absolutely help her. But I thought that was a cute story. All right. So, I just had to handle this. And so flaxseed, the bars all have flaxseed. They have flaxseed, which is fiber, which is great for our heart health. MCT oil, which helps our brain. Almond butter, as I said, fantastic fat and fiber. They have chicory root, fiber. You're going to keep hearing me say fiber. Fiber, I say, is our BFF. We need fiber. Of course, they have plant protein. They're vegan. A little bit of salt because we're salty. Let's just be real.
That's right.
All the good things. So we've got chocolate to handle that. We've got double chocolate brownie, I should call it, peanut butter chocolate, fresh blueberry lemon, because don't ever eat another blueberry muffin again in your life. Like, just no, they're not our friend. Not our friend. And then toasted vanilla almond for those who like a milder taste. So only sweetened with dates or if there's a little chocolate chips from the cane sugar from that, but extremely low sugar. Each bar has 25 to 32% of our daily fiber for 150,
Hmm.
160 calories. Because fiber is for our gut health. When our gut health is balanced, things are happening there. It's great for our brain. Gut
Mm.
speaks to our whole entire body. And as women, we only get about 12 to 14 grams of fiber a day across the board because we tend to eat so many processed foods when
Mm.
we need about 30 grams. So having a bar, you've got at least 25% of your fiber taken care of. And then you eat your veggies, green veggies, colorful veggies, salad veggies, and your protein, and now you're set for the day. But that fiber is huge, huge, and maca, because we need to balance things because things are
Mm.
unbalanced. So that's where
In
they
the
are.
spirit of TMI, because another symptom that me and my girlfriends
You're my new
talk
favorite
about,
person.
right? How women are not regular with going to the bathroom. And it's like, oh, how many days it's been for you? And how many days it's been for you? And it's just so unhealthy. Fiber has to help with that. So that's your key
Huge.
message.
Which is also constipation is a symptom of
Yes.
menopause.
No, it's no wonder we feel so gross for days
Right.
at a
So
time.
we're piling it on in places we
Yeah.
didn't have before. Working out, doing all that cardio doesn't work anymore. We haven't maybe even
Mm-hmm.
changed our diet, and all of a sudden here it is. And then we can't go to the bathroom too. Like, rude,
No.
rude. Right.
So that is great education just from a pure health perspective. And now every woman is going to want your bars because the snacking part of like just being sleepless and you're not functioning and you've got this cloudy brain, somehow the notion of a comfort food will make all your troubles go away. So this is like a magic comfort food option. So we're not going one more business quarter without having your bars available in Canada. But again, we'll talk about that. But if I
Okay,
could,
you heard it here.
oh yes, yeah, and our we'll be held to it from our community. Um, the big takeaways that I'm getting from you, which are so when I synthesize it down, they're so clear and helpful for women. Step one, educate yourself, menopause.org.
Perfect.
Do not let your waist get above 35 inches because that is like the downstream of heart disease and just being unhealthy. Don't do it. Um, Fiber, nutritious snacks, no sugar, the things that you're putting into your body will make a difference. So what have I
Nutrition
missed?
matters a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed,
Um,
agree.
the last thing I would say, and I didn't say it in this way, but we've talked about it, that please, please, plus one, plus two, plus three, plus five, this conversation that you and I are
Mm,
having
mm-hmm,
with other
mm-hmm.
women,
Love
with
that.
your sister, with your
Mm-hmm.
coworker, with your best friend at church or pickleball or Pilates, and your daughter and your son
Yes.
and the men
Yes.
around you. Every man
Mm-hmm,
knows a
mm-hmm,
menopausal woman. And for us
mm-hmm.
to lift women in this time, for her to feel safe, not ashamed, not alone, I feel that it's important that we have the responsibility, if we're willing to talk about it, that you, our listeners here today, will plus one or five
Yeah.
this conversation so we can help other women feel strong and empowered and excited about this part of their journey. Because end of the day, it's a blessing to get here because the other option is not good. We don't want that. And
Right.
quite
Yeah.
frankly, the best is yet to come. So that's what I
Oh, I
wanted to
love
just
that. Well, that's how we're going to wrap up because there's nothing as uplifting as what you just said. And you make me excited to still be in menopause for some reason, Julie. So bless your heart.
well, thanks
Thank
for
you.
all
Thank
you're
you.
doing also because your products are so important on this journey. We just make us feel better. Anything we can do to feel better about ourselves. We need those signals. And I think products, whether it's my bar, your clothes, we get to signal to ourselves that I'm worth it. I'm worth it, which is just a whole nother message
Right?
this time of our lives. Yeah.
You're so right. You nailed it again. Perfectly well said. We love you so much and the work you're doing. And we
Me
will
too.
circle back on our strategy to get your bars available to our Canadian friends.
I love it. Who knew? This is the
That's
power of menopausal women. Like, we just, how about this? Okay, I'll talk to you at 2 o'clock. Done.
that's
Let's go.
right. Boom. We just keep rolling.
That's right.
Thank you,
Love it.
Julie. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you, Laura. Take care,
bye.
everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.